Hello everybody, and welcome to another edition of Face It and Fix It. I'm Joanne Haig and I will be your host for today. But before I get started, I want to extend condolences to the family of the late Warren Douglas Motley. Warren was a former schoolmate, he was a Commonwealthian, and on behalf of all Commonwealthians, we wish to extend our condolences to his mom and dad, his wife, his two children, his sister Ailan, brother Stuart, and of course to our Prime Minister, Mia Amor Motley. Prime Minister, we pray that your family will be given strength and comfort during this difficult period. So today we have more concerns and questions, and we'd like to hear from you. What's on your mind? This is what this show is about. We want to hear from you. What do you want resolved? What is bothering you? Or how can we help? And we always bring agencies on board to assist. So today, along with your concerns, we will take a look at the pandemic and the relations and the labor relations as it relates to the pandemic with the help of Chief Labor Officer, Mrs. Claudette Hope-Greenidge. We've received some pre-show WhatsApp messages on the rollout of the vaccine and the bottleneck that occurred last week. So, of course, who else would you reach out to but to no other than Major David Clarke, Co-Ordinator of the National COVID-19 Vaccination Program. As we all know, there's a storm heading our way, Storm Elsa. So we will look at illegal dumping and blocking of water courses, and to help us with that is the SSA's Public Relations Officer, Mr. Alf Padmore. And of course, Barbados Light and Power now will be coming on board to talk to us about the storm readiness as it relates to electricity and what we need to do. And we will also hear from Meteorologist Browne during the show for some updates during the storm. So we have a very packed show today. The number to call is 228-5563, 228-5562. To send us a WhatsApp message is 228-5562. Of course, if you want to watch us, you tune in to CBC TV 8. If you want to watch us on social media, you type in CBC Barbados on Facebook. Similarly, you do that for YouTube. And of course, if you're in your car and you're at work and you can't watch TV, then kindly tune in to us on Q100.7 FM so that you can get to listen to this show and to hear how we can help all Barbadians with the various problems that they may have. We'll be back after the break. After the break. Welcome back to our show. Our next guest, our first guest rather, is Claudette Hope-Greenidge, Chief Labor Officer. And as we all know, there's been a lot of talk about vaccinations at the workplace and who can and cannot be vaccinated and what employers can and cannot do and the rights of employees. And to help us get more information on that, we welcome Mrs. Claudette Hope-Greenidge, Chief Labor Officer, to the show. Good morning.
Yes, good morning to all. Good morning, Mrs. Haig, and all viewers and listeners.
Good morning. Claudette, Mrs. Hope-Greenidge, can you tell me, before we actually go into the rights of workers and as it relates to the pandemic, why do people actually go to the labor office? What are the steps that you have to take before you actually reach there when you have a functioning HR department at the office? So just give us an idea before we get into the pandemic aspect of things.
Yes, okay. The Labor Department, what I want everyone to know, the Labor Department is an agency of the Ministry of Labor and Social Partnership Relations. And our mandate includes addressing those labor-related concerns that may be raised by either the employer, the employee, or their representative or representatives. Now, in a case where there is a functioning HR, human resource department at a workplace, manage to address it within the confines of your setting, and then the advice is given. In a case like that, it could be based on what is happening. The union can then help the person navigate their way through up to coming to the department, or the union, as the union meaning employers and or employees, and very often would assist the employee in an employer in looking at it at the domestic level. And depending on what happens, again, if there is not the resolution to the satisfaction of the parties, there's recourse to the department.
Okay, well, thank you for that. So let's get to the meat of this conversation that everybody really wants to know. We've had a lot of chattering going around about the vaccination and whether or not you have a right, employers, etc. Explain to us, can employees be penalized for not being vaccinated? And would it vary based on where you're working and the level of interaction you may have with the customer?
Let's look at it from this perspective, because that was a yes or no, but I will not answer with a yes or no. I'll explain. The vaccine, we know, is freely available to all workers, and it is being administered in keeping with those protocols and methodologies devised by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. In Barbados, a key thing for us to be aware of is that the vaccine is not mandatory. Taking the vaccine is not mandatory. It is within the purview of the employee to determine whether he or she wants to be vaccinated. Now, the employee is not to be discriminated against in any way or otherwise treated unfairly if he or she refuses to take the vaccine. We know there are settings where it could be argued that to have the vaccine would be all around good for, many parties: the employer, the employee, the persons whom you serve, the customers, the clients, the patients, and so on. But at the end of the day, the vaccine is not mandatory. And we can talk